Hey everybody, welcome to the Radical Center. My name is Jonathan Langland. We are broadcasting as ever from the illustrious Radical Studios in beautiful sunny downtown Austin, Texas. And as usual, I'm accompanied by Dan, my long-suffering producer. And what we'd like to do on this program, if you haven't watched this before, in about 10 or 15 minutes, put to bed maybe some misconceptions that people have on the right or the left, we don't care, about a particular topic. And one of the ones we've thought about a bit, Dan and I, for some time, and decided to finally do it, was tariffs. Now, I know it sounds very dry and very boring, but just bear with us because this is something that Donald Trump has actually said is brilliant. Remember, the Chinese are paying for the tariffs. We don't have to pay for it. In fact, it's had a great effect on creating jobs in America. So we're going to dig into that today and see if anything that Donald Trump said about tariffs has any remote attachment to the truth. All right, so here goes. Okay, so Dan, put it up, who said this? I happen to be a tariff person because I'm a smart person, okay? We have been ripped off so badly by people coming in and stealing our wealth. Well, I kind of feel I gave the game away, but that is obviously Donald Trump, and that was in November of 2018. Of course, the giveaway is I'm so smart. I know more about tariffs than just about anyone, because in his mind, when you put a 20, 25%, whatever the amount might be, tariff on something, the country that's actually importing or shipping that product to us, like steel, which we're going to get into in just a minute, they're the ones paying it. It's not the average American. No, God forbid. They would. I couldn't possibly do anything to get them ripped off. How? I'm Donald Trump. I know all about tariffs. Now, anyone with half a brain knows that when you ship something to the United States with a 25% tariff, or whatever it might be, the people paying that tariff, that tax essentially, are guess who? That's right. You and I, the average working American, because all that happens is the price is coming into landed price in the United States is higher. Therefore, the importers pass that price on to us. It does that extra money does not flow back to China or whatever other country you might be talking about. Germany with all their cars. He was talking about that at one point. So let's get into the actual results. All right, Dan, let's start putting some slides up. And just so we can see, and just in case you haven't paid any attention to us in the past, where have you been? Shame on you. We do like to focus on facts. All right, so one of the things you might have heard is that there's been a massive increase in jobs, in manufacturing jobs in the United States because of tariffs, particularly in steel. So, Dan, thanks a lot. You put that one up. All right, so as you can see, way back when, in 1991, basically 30 years ago, there were nearly 200,000 iron and steel jobs in the United States, but close to 190,000. But round numbers, I'm sure if we went back a bit further, in the 80s, 200,000 jobs in iron and steel. Now, as you can see today, in 2021, it has dropped to just above 80,000. So maybe 82, 83,000 jobs in America that are actually now working in iron and steel industry, right? So I imagine most of that is labor, but some of that could be management. Regardless, 82,000. So it's come down by more than 50%, unfortunately, in those 30 years. Now, you may be going, yes, but those jobs, they've come back. They've come back. Well, you know what? It hasn't. They haven't. And who actually says they haven't? None other than, here it is, the good old Wall Street Journal. Yes, the World Socialist Journal, WSJ.com, World Socialist Journal. They're actually, well, you might think that they'd be on the side of steel and jobs in America. It must have increased, right? No, it hasn't. It hasn't. You saw the little bump there. Put it back up, Dan. Thank you. You can see there it's increased marginally, but essentially, I would say not at all. I mean, it must have come back in other industries, right? Well, no, not really. All right, let's get into it. Oh, by the way, that graphic that Dan had up, put it back up yet one more time. Guess who had that? Yeah, the Wall Street Journal. Yes, so, I mean, you can't have it both ways, right? You either trust these people or you don't. And I absolutely believe the Wall Street Journal, when it comes to facts and figures, well, unless it's their opinion page. Anyway, regardless, I'm actually surprised they printed it, but nonetheless, that was from May of 2021. Now, we talked about this before on the show. Actually, a long time ago, Jackie and I talked about this, that when you put the price of steel up, raw material steel from China, remember in Canada, right next door, those socialists, you would think that the price of products in America would go up. Did that happen? By golly, it did. Even Whirlpool, put the quote up, Dan. The Whirlpool CEO, Mark Bitzer, has said last month, so this would have been April of 2021, said, take North America, they went up to $1,500. He's talking about the price of steel per ton, $1,500. These are levels, I mean, they are unheard of, will negatively impact our business by about $1 billion. $1 billion. And then you get into people like, they talk about it here, Ohio Screw Products or Clips and Clamps, as it was then known. They pay, he's saying here, the CEO of this company is saying that the 40% these tariffs require a 40% price difference between them and their European counterparts. And not only that, lead times have risen from 6 weeks to 20 weeks. Now, we spoke about this a long time ago, like I said, Jackie and I, where there's a small steel company making precision instruments. I forget what it was, but precision instruments. And they were having to lay off people because of the cost of steel has risen so much, because they have to use a particular type of steel that, guess what, comes from overseas. So their prices have gone up. They've had to lay off people because they can't compete now with imports of the precision products. And you might think it's just for finished products that are very high quality. No. People that make nails, of all things, now have a price disadvantage in the United States for homemade, American-made nails and screws, of all things, versus importing the finished product, which doesn't have that tariff compared to the raw materials. I know, who would have thought these knock-on effects could have happened? Now, only that, the tariffs, you would think they would actually increase the amount of jobs that are in the steel industry. Well, by golly, the steel industry did have more jobs. The actual number of jobs was 82,300, and you can see it in the slide there. Dan, put it back up one more time. Went up to 88,000. Thanks, Dan. 88,000. So by golly, we essentially had 6,000 more jobs. However, when you consider, they're now saying here, the Federal Reserve is estimating that higher steel prices led to a loss of 75,000 manufacturing jobs. So in other words, we made 8,000 jobs in steel and iron and steel, but actually ended up losing 75,000 jobs in manufacturing across the board. And this includes people like Harley Davidson having to ship some products overseas, which actually works out. Put it up in flashing red, Dan. That means each steel job costs $900,000. $900,000. And not only that, manufacturing is actually lower now, regardless of what Trump said. That manufacturing has fallen 18,000, and it has not come back since the end of 2019. So in other words, way to go, Donald. I'm leaving out COVID and all that, right? Because obviously that was, considerably more, had a lot of effect on some of this. So we're using some of these figures from 2019. But the bottom line is the steel tariffs did nothing to create jobs in America except 6,000 jobs apparently in the steel industry. Oh, by the way, let me just read what the steel industry people say. They think it's fantastic. CEO of Nucor said, this is the past quarter was the best. Steel Dynamics said record earnings and record shipments. But actually, if you go into this, I'm not going to bother to put it up now. He says record shipments, but actually output, yes, it has increased, but they're more efficient, right? So therefore, they only need 6,000 more jobs to have a massive increase in output. And even then, there's a delay for some of these people, unfortunately. All right, now you might be saying, well, Langley, my goodness, what's going on here? surely we've affected the Chinese and the the balance of payments and all that. Well, you might think that, but that's actually not true. A lot of these companies, particularly people who manufacture washing machines in China like that, have switched to Vietnam and that type of thing. They also go on to say, this is also from the Wall Street Journal, the World Socialist Journal. How can this possibly be? A lot of these jobs have switched to Mexico. Oh my God, the ones that are supposed to be playing for the wall. The jobs have gone not to the United States, but to Mexico. Oh my goodness me. All right. This is the most telling statistic of all. Put it up, Dan. Thank you so much. They estimate that the Journal of Economic Perspectives estimates, if you're listening to us online, that's why I read all this out, found that by December of 2018, Trump's tariffs resulted in a reduction of real income in the United States of $1.4 billion per month, and that's roughly $16 billion a year, and it cost the consumers $3.2 billion per month in added tax. Now, of course, this added tax these tariffs go to the government. Oh my God. So there's essentially a massive tax increase, and as we've spoken about before, this is on the middle class, right? Because the middle class spend more of their disposable income than very well off. We're going to do a show also as well during and then there's these segments here on wealth in America and entitlements in America. But it's no surprise, though, even tariffs, what they do, this $3.2 billion per month in added taxes, who does that affect? It affects the average working American because they spend more of their disposable income. In fact, probably we know so many people have less than $300, or the average savings account is $300 to $400, that they spend every penny that they get. So when there's a tax increase of essentially $3.2 billion per month, then who does that affect most? Not the 1%ers. That's for sure. They also say, actually, these people from the Journal of Economic Perspectives also say that these tariffs, their actual estimate is that this is actually conservative. The working paper from the United States Federal Reserve Board found the steel tariffs led to 0.6% fewer jobs. This is that 75,000 number I was talking about earlier. In other words, these are jobs that didn't actually happen to get created in the first place, or they got laid off. And American businesses and consumers paid more than $900,000 a year for each job. As I've said before, the cost of each job saved on washing machines. I love this. The cost of each job saved as a result of the administration's tariffs on washing machines was $815,000. Well, you know what? What a way to go, right? Because I did read that LG or Samsung, one of those Korean manufacturers, did open a 600-person factory to manufacture washing machines and dryers in the United States. But I think we can safely walk away from this with the fact that Trump's tariffs did nothing to help average Americans. It was a big tax increase, billions of dollars per month. It didn't help Ford Motor Company. They've complained about it. It didn't help Whirlpool and other domestic manufacturers. It didn't help the people that even make nails. All it did was make a few more people get hired. And I'm sure if you're one of those 6,000 in the iron and steel industry, you're very grateful. But at the end of the day, we lost nearly 80,000 jobs and billions in extra money going out of the middle class's pocket because of this. Okay. That's it. Our little segment just on tariffs. They don't work. If you think I'm wrong, please write to me at jonathan@langley.media. Like, comment, subscribe. If you think any ideas on topics we should cover. These are all facts. I am an independent, and I am a Texan, as you can tell by my heavy Texas accent. Anyway, thanks for listening, or if you're watching us online, God bless. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back very, very soon.